Now we get a fast-paced look at what's happening in the world of payments and travel, the different models and what they do, what's the landscape and how they're used in travel, and how Asia is leading the world. Please welcome Filip Filipov, Vice President Strategy, Skyscanner.
Hello, everyone. Suhon, thank you for inviting me back and the whole web and travel team. How many of you have seen me present before? Show of hands. All right. So I usually do 60 slides in 10 minutes, and today I'm going to spare you the pain and death by PowerPoint. It's going to be only 30 slides in 10 minutes. And we're going to talk about payments. Every software company, sooner or later, becomes a bank. Think about it as we get to the end of the presentation. I'm going to cover today a bunch of topics. Travel and channels, how big travel is, where are the channels, payment methods, diversity in travel, some initiatives that are ongoing at the moment, and some predictions. And hopefully next year we'll be able to revise some of those together. M-commerce, what you're seeing here is a ton of data. And what you need to pay attention to is the fact that in the Asian countries here, a lot of people have completed a purchase on their mobile phones. The one that is in white is worldwide average, and then we have the remaining countries. So basically, m-commerce is picking up. Asia is leading the world. We know a whole lot about this. Voice, interestingly, is one of the new methods of interaction with technology today, is also picking up, and in Asia, it's actually peaking. It's a lot easier to communicate with a device with your voice because it's natural. We've covered that in previous presentations. It is picking up. Amazon now sells Echoes all over the world, and 50 million US households have an Echo device at home, which is an impressive thing, and that will get even bigger with time. Now, total market size, this is courtesy of Focusrite. Travel is big. Where we focus is this part here, 1.7 trillion in 2022. Air is the biggest, followed by hotels, car rental, rail, and everything else is lumped into other. But clearly, since we're web and travel, we care about online travel. We have to take a look at like what is online versus offline. And what you see on top is the total market size, split online versus offline. Then you have China, and then finally, what's the market that we all play in? Because China is a hard market to be in, and they're already established players. What's important here is that we're not going to be able to be more online in the next 3 years. And part of that is because of payments. If payments are available, you'll be able to buy and purchase anything in terms of travel online or through your device. But if they're not, you need to end up actually making a transaction face-to-face. If you can pay, you can travel. And I know it sounds super simple, and a lot of us actually know this by fact, but the truth is, a lot of the travel that is still offline or still not on mobile is because payment methods are incredibly hard. So let's take a look at the payment methods in a bunch of different countries. Again, a lot of information on those slides. It's important for you folks to take just the major points. We're looking at North America. This is WorldPay data in terms of payment methods. E-wallet in the United States is on the rise. On the green side, you have 2022, and on the white side, you have 2018. Credit card is going down. The concept of credit is not moving away. However, the actual plastic card that you have in your wallets, this is actually being removed. E-wallet, on the other hand, is picking up. And e-wallet is pretty much how you store your payment information on your phone. You can use different methods. We're going to cover that in a few more minutes. But in the United States, or Canada and the United States, e-wallet is on the rise. Cards are holding steady. In Latin America, there is a massive drop in credit cards. Even though there's not a lot of penetration, they're dropping quite a bit. And what we see is that there is a rise in e-wallet. So you're starting to see a trend here. E-wallet is actually on the rise. In Europe, bank transfer of all the methods is actually still holding quite steady. There is a drop in cards, and e-wallet is picking up. But bank transfer, whereby you complete a transaction by just sending money directly to a bank account, as Timothy mentioned just a few minutes ago, the transaction costs of a bank transfer are close to nothing. And this is important. In Europe, this is a method that a lot of the purchasers use. But here's interesting, APAC. Credit card never really made it through, and it's dropping. And e-wallet is the right payment method. People are using their phones and their e-wallets to make payments. They don't want to type in a credit card number. It's a lot more secure. There's less fraud with e-wallets. It's usually tied to a single device. So you can easily verify the transaction. You can move it from one place to another, from one application to another. And e-wallet is big here in APAC. So 3 things in terms of how we pay. Credit card going down. Debit cards are relatively steady, especially in mature markets. There's some opportunity in bank transfer. If you think about your customers, maybe you should offer them that opportunity to pay via bank transfer. And then finally, e-wallets are big, and they're here to stay. Now, that's usually I want to definitely travel more, but my bank account is probably not affording me to do it. Let's take a look at how much people spend based on their disposable income on e-commerce. This is the split between mobile versus desktop, which is an interesting cut. In Asia, again, there's more than 50% of the spend happens on mobile. So of how much you spend on e-commerce overall, more of it is on mobile. The rest of the countries are following suit. But interestingly, travel is a sizable part of that spend. So whatever you spend online, in some countries, it's 1/3 of how you spend overall online. Saudi Arabia is an interesting example, Singapore, Japan, Canada, and then we go all the way down to the United States. So travel is a big portion of the spend, of the money that we actually put down towards a purchase on online methods and devices. Now, that's one of the busiest slides ever. If you want to take a picture, take a picture. It's hard to talk it through, but the point here is e-wallet is growing, credit cards are still major, but it's all different. So in every single market that you go, you will have a different split. And all of the predictions that will all end up in e-wallet, potentially true in like 5 years from now, but not yet. So if you're going into different markets, if your company operates in multiple different markets, you have to think about what is the payment method there. You cannot just go and say, oh, well, they take Amex here. I mean, obviously, like they'll take it everywhere. All right, recap here is where we spend. On mobile, a lot of this is on travel, and some of it goes to, I guess, Alibaba, Tokopedia locally, and Amazon globally, and then by e-wallet. The tax on being different is massive. This is the fintech ecosystem, and the point of this slide is it's insane. Like there are companies that are born and that die in those little like quadrants here every day. So there's no chance you'll be able to integrate all of them. And honestly, you probably don't have to. From a high-level payments view, you have to think about the standards, so obviously the credit card players and some regional players. Alternative payment methods, I'm sure you're familiar with them. Alipay, WeChat Pay, Paytm, Mercado Pago in Argentina. There is a bunch of new entrants. Affirm, Klarna, Uplift, those companies allow you to actually extend credit to your customers without necessarily the credit card verification that takes ages. So you can be on the checkout page and pretty much say, I want to buy this and I want to pay in installments, and those companies enable it. And obviously we have to think about the biggest companies. I didn't include Alibaba and WeChat here, but that goes without saying. Apple Pay is moving into cards, Google Pay, Libra, which is Facebook's poor attempt at doing a centralized, decentralized network, and Amazon Pay. I'll give you a couple of examples of an interesting thing to think about. This is in Europe. That company actually allows you to open up a bank account in seconds. And it doesn't just allow you to open up a bank account. It gives you a credit card, sends it to you. You can open up multiple currencies. You can take out your phone and have 5 currency accounts in like 30 seconds. Cross-border transfer, investing, insurance, a lot of services, all integrated within a single payments app. Even a better example. So this is Alipay, which has 1 billion users, 300 million monthly daily active users, which is sizable by any measure. They offer payment, wealth management, insurance, and financial services. So here's the thought. All of us are trying to integrate different payment methods, while some of the payment methods might be trying to integrate us. And that's something that we need to think about how this is going to affect us, and I'm going to talk about it in a few seconds. So keep your friends close and your enemies closer. You have to have a clear strategy. If you're a global player, you cannot have just 5 payment methods. There are companies that integrate more than 40. There are companies that integrate more than 80. You need to meet your customer there because, as we said, you can't travel if you don't pay. If you're a regional player, partner with somebody who is a big payment method locally. If you don't have Alipay and WeChat Pay, let's say in Asia, you're actually not able to serve a lot of your customers. Paytm in India. And if you're just very local, make sure that you have the most common method. I know it's obvious, but sometimes it's not. Now, predictions. Whoever integrates payments wins. And by payment integration, it's not just like you process 5 credit cards and that's it. So as companies, you need to think about how you integrate those payments into you. Payment companies will integrate travel. if everything I buy, everything I interact with in terms of moving my money around is in my Revolut account, is in my Alipay account, it's not too much of an extension to think that the next thing Revolut and Alipay, as well as Paytm offered in India, travel. In which case, we kind of become disintermediated because we wanted to integrate payments, but eventually payments integrated us. And then the final piece here as a prediction is big travel companies will behave like banks. If you're moving 100 billion around in terms of travel spend, you're essentially one of the biggest banks in the world. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.